I did not like that kid. I did not like the kid whatsoever. But I had an argument with him freshman year of college because when we were freshmen in college, it was fall of 2002. Fall of 2002. And in fall of 2002, it was like the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl had happened the previous February, okay? And that season, when he and I were roommates, that football season ended up being the Raiders and the Buccaneers in the championship game or something like that. Whatever. Anyway, but we watched like everything sports. And because coincidentally, even though I wasn't on the baseball team, because I didn't join the baseball team in college, but even though I wasn't on the baseball team, somehow they stuck me on the floor with all the baseball players. Weird. I don't know. That was strange. So whenever they went on road games, I would basically be by myself on the floor. It's so great. But anyway, the argument that he and I got into was, can you truly say one team is better than the other? And his argument was, yes, you can totally say one team is better than the other, whoever wins the game. And my argument is, okay, hold on a second. If you have, let's say, the New York Yankees, mind you, back in 2002, they were like coming off 3 straight championship wins, stuff like that, whatever. But if you have like the New York Yankees versus like what's a team that's been terrible forever? The Mets. Okay, let's go with the Mets. No, mind you, the Mets made it to the championship game in 2000. And they actually made it again in 2015. So, I don't know. Anybody a Mets fan? Boo. Anyway. So if you have the Yankees versus the Mets, at that time, it was like the Yankees would dominate the Mets, dominate them over and over and over again. And you would say, yes, the Yankees are the better team. But according to his argument, it's like if the Mets won on that day, they're the better team. And my argument is, well, no, they're not the better team. He's like, a day? I'm like, yeah, but if you look on paper, this is the whole argument we had back and forth. It was really crazy. Talking about like when games were actually over, when you could determine whether or not games are truly over, depending on the sport that you play. So if you have someone on your bench who you thought, no, this guy, he's been terrible. He's, scored me maybe 2 points a week for the past month. I'm going to bench him. And when you bench him, he scores 4 touchdowns. Does that actually determine that your team is better or that you made a bad decision? You know what I'm saying? So if we say, let's look at the possible scores to see who is better, that might just determine that you made the worst decisions with your fantasy team. I know. It's so fun. It's so weird. I don't know. Yeah, my freshman year roommate, he was an interesting guy. He had a very immature sense of humor that I really want to forget and purge from my memory. But yeah, I was not roommates with him after freshman year. Let's just say. But anyway, the baseball team. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, let's go to the playoffs. So I was trying to load the box score, and the entire time that I've been talking, this thing has just been trying to load. Have you seen that? Look at that. I wanted to load my box score to see what happened to my team. If Tully were here, he'd be like, well, you lost. I'm sorry, did the Patriots win this past week? Wait, actually, did they? Who'd they lose to? That's right. Yes, that was a Thursday night game. Sucks to be them. Come on. Oh, come on. I'm just trying to get the scoreboard up here. Silly thing. See, now this thing don't want to load. Okay, hold on. Let's close this. Let's close this. Let's open this. I'll tell you, though, I was in my brother-in-law's league. I lost by 1 point in my brother-in-law's league. 1 point. And I don't even know what it came down to, but there's a lot of analysis that could happen. Okay, here we go. Box score. Load the stinking box score. Good. Let's see what happened to my team this week. Lamar Jackson obviously went off. James Conner. What are you doing to me, James Conner? That's not the first time you've disappointed me. Giovanni Bernard. Seriously, would you not start Giovanni Bernard versus the Cowboys? Come on. Whatever. And then the Ravens D got me -4, but I mean, that was still a great game. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I know. Now, hold on. How many extra points would he have gotten me? How many extra points? Could I have put him at running back? Yeah. That's true. But still, I lost by, what did I lose by? I lost by 15, 20. I lost by 35. So, with the rest of my bench too. Hold on. That's true. It would have made it very interesting. I had Dobbins. Started Dobbins. Nice. All right, so going back to the scoreboard, let's look at the bracket. Now, obviously, I'll update your brackets for our purposes, but these are your final four teams right there. I know. Question, just for my own sake, for you guys that were on bye weeks, obviously it didn't matter, but did you still set a lineup? No? But you said you did? Okay. It's going to be a fun set of playoffs. Okay. I put all my pension. Nice. It's crazy. Our 3 10-win teams are heading to that championship round. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. In terms of this fantasy project, I am going to assign it to you on Thursday. The final part of this fantasy project, I'm going to assign to you on Thursday. Simply because, for a couple reasons. Number one, I'm trying to finalize how I'm wording certain things. But more importantly, I'm still waiting to get responses back from some people, not all people, but some people on parts 1 and 2. But I need that done in order to assign this next part of the project. And if you don't have it done, then obviously that's going to reflect negatively upon the third part. But the third part of the project, just to kind of give you a heads up, is going to be looking back at, number one, who you drafted, which obviously, yes, I know it was an auto draft, but who you drafted, but more importantly, who you picked up during the season. What picks were good pickups? What trades were good trades? There were some pretty solid trades in this classroom. I saw them happen in real time, you know? But that's what I'm saying. Like, what kind of decisions, pickups, trades, things of that nature, were the things that actually made the difference for your team to win certain games? Now, obviously, we're not going to analyze the playoffs per se, but we can analyze our regular season because obviously not every team made the playoffs. We'll kind of figure that out as time goes on. It's crazy. Do you guys know the old vice principal, Miss Clerico? Do any of you know her husband? I thought he worked in the district. All right, cool. He's in our fantasy league for the teachers. He's in the semifinals. It's him versus Fitzpatrick, and I think it's Blasey versus Houlihan. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I know. Actually, I'll tell you this. In our fantasy playoffs, if you're not in the playoffs, then you automatically qualify for the Scody Championship. Ready? When we first started this league, 6 or 7 years ago, and Scody was in the league. And for 2 years straight, Scody never set her lineup. And eventually she was just like, yeah, I shouldn't be in this league. And I'm like, okay, because she was never setting her lineup. She lost 20 straight games over the course of 2 seasons. In honor of her, we have a last place trophy. And the last place trophy is not based on where you finish in the standings. It's where you finish in the consolation bracket for ESPN. It's where you finish in the consolation bracket. And we actually have a separate trophy for it. It's like a little rocket ship that we spray painted gold. It's kind of nice. Keep reaching for the stars. But in lieu of that, as I said, I'm going to be assigning the last part of this project on Thursday. Keep in mind, you guys know about the weather that's coming up? Listen to me very carefully. Listen to my words. Even if we get snowed out, we have been instructed that we can still teach on Thursday. What? it wouldn't count as a snow day. Yeah. Yes. Remains to be seen. I know. Because here's the thing. Once they set the graduation date, they try not to change that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I will still be teaching on Thursday regardless. So I will still be assigning you that project on Thursday. We'll talk about it more then. But as for now, we are taking a step towards another sport. We are taking a step towards another sport. As we wrap up fantasy football, we are going to be taking a step towards basketball. Basketball has been an unbelievably interesting sport in its history. I mean, maybe you know the story behind James Naismith and the Peach baskets and things of that nature. That's besides the point. If you looked over the history of basketball, things have evolved over the stretch of history to unbelievable feats. For example, what was introduced to the NBA in the late 70s? What was introduced to the NBA that they had never seen before or they never used before? The three-point line. Now, I don't know what your opinions are on the three-point line. Actually, I've heard rumors in the past couple of years that they wanted to introduce a four-point line. Just get rid of it. Yeah. There's a lot of dispute over the three-point line and whether or not it should be included. MTV in the early 90s had this annual sports competition called Rock and Jock. I would be unbelievably surprised if any. But it was basically, you had these two teams that were comprised of celebrities and sports athletes. And they would play this basketball game that felt like part real competition and part Harlem Globetrotter show. And it was really interesting to watch every year where, you know how they have like the regular basket? Well, they have like, how tall is the regular basket in the NBA? 10 feet, give or take? So they had 10-foot basket, and then they had like a 20-foot basket, and then they had like a 30-foot basket. And basically, like if you made the shots into those upper ones, they'd be worth like 10 and 15 and 20 points and things of that nature. Like just absolute ridiculous scores that they would do. It was the funnest thing to watch for a kid in the early 90s. But clearly it didn't last. I don't know. But people have been trying to revolutionize basketball for a while. Say again? Just dumb. Anyway. But I wanted to introduce the concept of basketball. I wanted to start with the three-point shot. Now, one could argue that there are other statistics that are more important in basketball. But today, I feel like there is a revolution going on with the three-point shot. When you think three-point shot in basketball today, what name pops into your head? Absolutely. Yeah. Well, not today. Yeah. I mean, Kobe, obviously it's tragic what happened to Kobe, but Kobe's been retired for how long? But yeah, Steph Curry. Now, if you look at the all-time list, check this out real quick. All-time three-point list wiki. If this thing would actually load properly. Here we go. Career three-point shots. Boom. You can see Steph Curry is already third all time. How old is that guy? That he's what? Oh, I have no idea. He's 32. My goodness. He's 32, and he's already third on the all-time list. Now, you guys, check it out. Look. Kyle Korver. Who the heck is Kyle Korver? I haven't heard of Kyle Korver. Exactly. Some people are like, who? Anyway, James Harden, yes. Vince Carter. He just retired, right? Yeah, Vince Carter, Jason Terry. Jamal Crawford is on this list. Yeah, I'm sure. But you guys probably are a bit more familiar with the top couple of names on this list. Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. Now, I'm going to be showing you a couple of things in regards to three-point shooting. First, I have a short video about Steph Curry and the science of three-point shots. And that's actually going to lead us into the lesson for today. But I also have the myth, the legend, Larry Bird. You guys know about Larry Bird? Who is that? Here's the thing about Larry Bird that you got to know. I forget which guy said it, but they were talking about some of like the best players of the 80s. And this guy was basically saying, if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, and Larry Bird, if the 5 of them walked into a room to settle things, Larry Bird would be the one walking out, is what he said. Larry Bird was a tough son of a gun. Say again? Yeah. Yeah, Larry Bird. He's the most unassuming guy in the world. But I have a couple things to show about him. There's a 3-point, during All-Star Weekend, they do like the 3-point contest. Okay. Larry Bird had won like the previous year, and he comes into the 3-point contest, and I'm going to show you the clip of him making these shots. It's just beautiful. But he comes into the locker room, sees all of his competitors, and he says to them, all right, who's coming in second? And they're just like, yeah, Larry, whatever, because they were like criticizing his 3-point shooting ability. So he goes out there to do the 3-point contest, doesn't even take off his warm-up jacket, and blows the competition away. It's insane how good this guy was. In fact, during the 1980s, every single NBA Finals had either the Lakers or the Celtics. I don't know if you know that. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Yeah. Just a bit off. Also, Shaq, I think, played for the Celtics for like, what, 1 season? So, check this out. Give me 1 second. Let me get this thing started. Watch this.
This season, Steph Curry made more threes than any player in NBA history. And this postseason, his play has been the story of the playoffs. Here's a breakdown of the smoothest shooter in the NBA. Dribbling at more than 10 miles per hour, Curry can stop and set his feet for a jump shot in just a third of a second. And with virtually no wasted motion, his jumper is efficient and repeatable. His forearm is always within 5 degrees of vertical, and he consistently releases the ball as he's rising 600ths of a second before the apex of his jump. On a 3-point shot, Curry typically releases the ball between 50 and 55 degrees. At just 6'3", 4 inches shorter than the NBA average, not only does this higher trajectory help him shoot over taller defenders, it also creates a larger target at the other end of the parabola. Compared to a flatter 45-degree release, Curry's ball approaches the rim at a steeper angle, which essentially increases the area the ball could pass through the hoop by 19%. But the most incredible part of Curry's shot is his quick release. After picking up his dribble, Curry can get off a shot in as little as 0.4 of a second, about the same amount of time it takes the ball to rotate once on the way to the basket. And it's the quickest release we've ever analyzed. In fact, in the amount of time an average NBA shooter releases the ball, Curry's shot is already airborne 12 feet above the court. To put Curry's sharp shooting in perspective, this season, his amazing corner 3 shooting percentage of nearly 53% was about the same as his percentage in the restricted area right around the basket. For ESPN Sports Science, I'm John Brinkins.
Excellent. I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is Larry Bird, man. I got to make sure this volume is all the way up. Yes, it is. Good.
Chicago Stadium, along with Steve Jones and Rick Barry, this is Bob Neal. Just moments before the American Airlines Sheraton long-distance shootout. The competitors today are Danny Ainge from Boston, Dale Ellis from Chicago.
Skip.
The road to defeat that threat. Well, Larry Bird is, again, the man to do it all. He has such great confidence.
Now, the thing is, I'm not going to watch this whole video. What I actually wanted to show, I wanted to show his second round. I wanted to show his second round on this thing. Here he goes. Second round, Larry Bird. Notice he's still wearing his warm-up jacket. And yes, the short shorts.
It was nice to hit the first one, but Larry not being able to get into it yet. Got the big 2-point ball, however, at the end. Well, Well, this is your guy, Rick, and he's always been able to perform well under pressure, and he usually picks up steam with each rack. Well, there's 2 in a row, 3 in a row. Let's see how many he can come up with 4. Hitting the two-pointer, 8 points for Bird now. 30 seconds left on the 60-second shot clock. Yeah, he's got the rhythm going right now. Bird's got 13 points with 20 seconds remaining. Well, he's not getting to the racks too quickly, but he's able to get a lot of counts out of them very fast. That's because of the groove he gets in that set shot. He doesn't waste a lot of effort. 18 points for Bird, 8 seconds left. 19 and counting, make it 20. Unofficially, 23 points for Larry Bird. That's only 2 points short of the record 25. The maximum you can get is 30 if you hit every shot. So the hard assassin with the sharp eye is firing it on target today. You see Larry finishing off. Look at that smooth rhythm. The shot, 1 step back, pick it up, the shot. Back and forth. He is like a machine. And the results are almost like a machine.
He ain't took off his top yet. I didn't see when he took off his top. Hey, it's hard to shoot out the Bird.
And here comes Bird back.
Anyway, yeah, Larry Bird obviously went on to win this thing. He won this thing like I think 3 years in a row. It's just absolutely ridiculous how good this guy was. I don't know. The Celtics of the 80s, the Lakers, it's just, man, it's hard to imagine like just a better era of basketball. See, the thing is, I grew up in the 90s, and you guys know what happened in the 90s with basketball? Jordan. It was all Jordan. Everything was Jordan in the 90s. Jordan won 6 championships. He played baseball for 2 seasons. He made Space Jam. Like, you know, they're doing Space Jam again, right? Yeah, with LeBron. I'm just saying, like, what LeBron is to your generation was what Michael Jordan was to my generation. It's hard to compare. But the thing is, Jordan, I don't know. It's hard to say. With Jordan, obviously, he won those championships. He elevated his team. He did what he needed to do. And I don't know. They both chased championships for a long time. But I will say that Jordan never lost an NBA Finals. I don't know. How many championships has LeBron won so far? Just that's it? That sucks. And he's lost how many? So I'm just saying Jordan won 6-0. Well, LeBron, not always. If you look at the Bulls in the mid to late 80s, they sucked. No, they didn't win the championship till 91. Jordan was in the league for 6 or 7 years before he won his first championship. Same thing with LeBron. Just saying. But LeBron's probably going to end up being the all-time leading scorer. Don't drop that thing. I do have other things to show you in terms of three-point shooting, but I want to get into the science and the calculations behind it. So what I'm going to ask of you, if you do not already have them out, I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. Not necessarily, no. Now, some of this is going to be somewhat familiar based on what we've done with football so far. Very similar calculations, but we'll get there. Today is the 15th. We're going to call this three-point shooting. Now, just for my own sake, because I want to know what your opinion is. Obviously, I'm starting with three-point shooting, but that doesn't necessarily reflect my opinion as to what is the most important statistic in basketball. Well, I was going to ask. Now, you just mentioned free throws. What do you guys think? You mentioned free throws. What is the most important statistic? Not necessarily shot, but rebounds. Well, hold on. Let me back up a little bit. Why do you say free throws? Okay, they're not necessarily quote-unquote free, though. You got to make the shot, though. Exactly. Why rebounds?
The more rebounds you get, you have the ball longer.
A higher possession of time because of rebounds, as a result of rebounds. Anybody else? Why? That's true, actually. Yeah, because in order for it to record as an assist, the shot had to be made. Interesting. What else? Turnovers. Ooh. Why? I know that's kind of pretty obvious right there. Yeah. I don't know. Who is the NBA all-time leading scorer? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, soon he might be passed by a couple of guys. Hold on. NBA all-time. Yeah, right. Are you kidding me? Yeah, LeBron James has the best chance of doing it. How old is LeBron, by the way? He's 35. Goodness. I talked about my freshman year roommate. If you want to know something really messed up, my freshman year living with that kid in 2003, it was like spring of 2003, we watched, like a bunch of us in the dorm room watched LeBron James play a high school game on ESPN. They aired it. It was like the craziest thing. Like, who is this LeBron James kid? 18 years old, destroying people. The Ball family. Yes, he did. He was one of the last ones to go straight to the NBA from high school. It was, I think, a few years thereafter that they made the rule that you had to be at least like 1 year somewhere else, you know, which is why. Who is the middle Ball kid? Is he the one that went to Europe?
No, that was LaMelo.
Okay. And then the first one went to UCLA for a year. Yeah. So that's why they couldn't go straight to the NBA. Like those kids, their dad is obnoxious.
He's the reason they got drafted so high, though.
Oh my gosh.
He created so much attention.
But like they have to back it up now.
They are good though.
Yeah, they are making millions of dollars.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know the name Sam Bowie?
Yeah.
Who's Sam Bowie?
Not good.
He was a guy drafted in front of Michael Jordan. Just saying. He was in.
Michael Jordan wasn't some cut from his high school basketball.
That is a myth. It was a myth. He was not cut from his high school basketball team. He was a freshman and he was playing JV. Goodness gracious.
Mr. Tucci, please call the main office. Mr. Tucci, please call the main office.
All these myths. Anyway, let me show you this little formula right here. First, I'm going to write this down, and then I am going to explain what the concepts are talking about. There we go. This formula will give you the height of the ball in the air when released. Or I'm sorry, after release. This will give you the height of the ball in the air after release. You know, it's really crazy. You think about like college basketball. I don't really pay attention to college basketball until we get to March Madness. But like there have been so many games determined on like 3-point shots. You guys would remember a couple of years ago, it was Villanova, North Carolina, I think. Yeah, that was amazing. Just saying. Can you imagine? Because clearly the shot was good, but can you imagine if like if they was disputed and the refs had to like overturn it after they shot off all the confetti? Anyway, whatever. Shut up. So, no, I know, but some shots are close, and they have to review certain shots. You know what I'm saying? And if they review it and they overturn it, and it's like, oh crap, we just shot off all these cannons. You know. Anyway, now this formula is a quadratic formula. It is melding together two major concepts that we have been covering this and using initial velocity and the angle of elevation. Now, in terms of Steph Curry, give you some information on Steph Curry here. I know. I'm talking about. Never mind. Shut up. Steph Curry can release the ball at 18 miles an hour. When he actually shoots the ball, it's approximately 18 miles an hour at an angle of elevation of 55 degrees. Now, the video said 50 to 55. I'm going to go with 55 just for the sake of argument. Now, obviously, depending on how far away you are from the basket, you may have to adjust the way you do it. When you're actually shooting the ball, you're not thinking about velocity and angle of elevation. You're not thinking about that whatsoever. But it's when you actually do the prep work, when you watch the film and study things, that's when you need to be thinking about, okay, I need to increase my angle of elevation. I need to decrease my velocity, whatever it may end up being, in order to get the ball in the hoop by any means necessary. Now, in terms of this, Steph Curry is, well, his own height, I should say Curry height. Curry height is 6'3". He's 6'3". But obviously, when you shoot a three-pointer, you are jumping off the ground. So let's just say add 3 inches for jump, because he's actually going to be jumping and shooting this ball at the same time. So let me separate some of this information right here. We've talked about the initial velocity. So just for the sake of argument, initial, if I could actually spell initial today, initial velocity is V sub 0. Theta is angle of elevation. And H sub 0 is initial height. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me zoom in and move it up a little. How about now? Cool. So based on all of this information, we can determine the equation that actually shows the height of the ball after release. And we can use that to find the maximum height of the ball. That's the 2 things that I want. Number 1, I want the equation, the proper equation written out. And number 2, I want to find the max height. In order to find the max height, we'll talk about what we have to do in order to get that in a few moments. Now, a couple of things to this. First of all, 55 degrees is fine. We can deal with degrees, no big deal. But what is the problem that we have when comparing the initial velocity in which he releases the ball and his height? What is the issue that we have when comparing the initial velocity and Steph Curry's height? Ooh. We need to be able to recognize this, because this is going to determine what we're going to be doing with this problem and how we're going to be altering the way that things look. What's his initial velocity measured in? $18 what, though? Miles per hour. Why is that an issue when comparing it to his height? What's his height measured in? Yeah, inches and feet, yeah. We have to convert. As he just said, we have to convert things. See, the thing is, we have miles, and then we have feet and inches. This is not going to work. Not to mention 18 miles an hour. Now, you guys are familiar with how fast 18 miles an hour is, approximately. It's decent for like running. It's pretty fast. But this is like the speed at which he's like releasing the ball. I don't think hours is really going to work. How long does it take for the ball to reach the hoop? Seconds, right? We need to convert some stuff. The ball is going to reach the hoop in mere seconds. So we can't do hours unless it's blocked, of course. Let's just say it's an unobstructed shot. Let's just say, because clearly this guy can get open whenever he wants. You know. Let's see what we got here. Oh, you know what you guys missed out on? Man, the 1992 Olympics. That's what y'all missed out on. That was my childhood, the 92 Olympics. That was the first year that they allowed professional players to play in the Olympics. They ran the table. That was Jordan. That was Magic Johnson. That was Bird, Clyde Drexler. That was Charles Barkley. Like, insane team. Anyway, back to this. So first, we are going to have to convert 18 miles an hour as we have since the beginning of the school year. Well, 1 hour is 60 seconds. I'm sorry, 60 minutes. 1 minute is 60 seconds. And 1 mile is 5280 feet. To cancel out miles, top and bottom, hours, top and bottom, minutes, top and bottom. We need converting all of this to feet per second. That is exactly what we need to do in order to get this thing done correctly. 18 divided by 60 times 5280 gives us 26.4 feet per second. Now, Steph Curry is 6'3", but how many inches were we adding? Okay, so the initial height is 6'6". How do I write that as a decimal? 6'6". So hold on, 6 feet 6 inches is the initial height, but what is that as a decimal? I can't put 6.6. How many inches are in a foot? 12. So it's 6 point what? 6 inches out of 12 inches.
6.06.
Nope. 6.5. It's technically 6.5. You have to be able to do that conversion. 6 inches would actually be 0.5 as a decimal. That is why our system of measurement in this country sucks. We would be much better off with the metric system. Just saying. But I'm measuring that in feet. Now I think we might be good here. Because we have feet per second and we have feet for the initial height. So our equation comes down to this. -16 t squared. Now it was supposed to be plus parentheses what? I got to bring my paper back. Let me write that on the board so I have it so I can remove that in a moment. Let me write that over here. H equals -16 t squared. Writing that there so that I don't have to have this paper here. There we go. And I can just reference what I wrote in pink on the board. So V sub 0 times sine of theta. Hey, what's something I have to do to my calculator before I do that V sub 0 times sine of theta? What in the mode? Yeah, you have to have it in degrees. If you don't turn it to degrees, it's not going to do it right. 26.4 times sine of, I already forgot the angle of elevation. What'd I say? What's the angle of elevation of a shot? That was funny.
For you.
Yes, it was for me. But yes, 26.4, which is the initial velocity in feet per second. You have to do that conversion. Times sine of 55 degrees, which is the angle of elevation, gives us this decimal, which of course we are going to round to 21.63. We're going to round it to 21.63, which is what goes right here, plus 6.5, which was our initial height. This is the equation that we would end up using to determine the height of the ball after release from Steph Curry's hand. Excellent. So that answers number 1. But now I got to answer number 2. What do I do for a max height? Huh? Solve what, though? What? How? I got to find a max height. Think about a parabola. I've already taught you that. Technically twice in some cases. Max height of a parabola. What's the other word that you call the maximum height of a parabola? The apex? What's the technical term in algebra? Maximum, apex, vertex. You're like commenting to him and you come on, man. We need the vertex. You want to find that vertex? That vertex, negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2a. That's something you've been doing since algebra. Negative b over 2a will get this thing done the way we need it to be. 21.63 over 2 times negative 16. If you do that correctly, it should spit out approximately 0.676 when you round it. What the heck is that number? That's not our maximum height. What is it? That is definitely not our maximum height. T. What is T? What is T in the grand scheme of the context of the situation? Time. Yeah. But it's time. It's the amount of time it takes for the ball to reach its apex. What's that measured in? It's just time, though. It's just seconds. This is the number of seconds that it takes for the ball to reach its maximum height. Last question before I finish up with one more video. That's not our answer, though. That is not the maximum height. How does one find now the maximum height? What do I do with that amount of time? I didn't hear you. Plug it in? Yeah. Literally, you take that amount of time, the amount of time that it takes to reach the maximum height. You plug it back into the function. I'll do that right here. And I'll show you what it looks like on the calculator. And this should spit out the approximate height. What we got going on here. Let's see. Negative 16 parentheses 0.676 parentheses squared plus 21.63 parentheses 0.676 plus 6.5. That spits out 13.8, but 13.8 is measured in what? 13.8 is indeed my maximum height, but what is it measured in? Everyone's asleep today, especially those who are asleep. People. What is this? Maximum height measured in what? Yeah, it's in feet. Come on. It's in feet. That's the beauty of being able to convert everything to a proper unit. You convert everything to feet per second, which is a proper way of doing things. You convert Curry's height not 6 feet in inches, but you convert it directly to just feet with the decimal. And now you know that when you get the time that it takes to reach the vertex, it's in seconds, and you get the height that is measured in feet. That is what is so gorgeous about this thing. Okay. With the time that we have, I do have one last video to show you. Question. Yes. Give me 1 second. Let me introduce this and I'll write it out. Question. During NBA weekend, I haven't watched All-Star weekend. I haven't watched it in many years. Is the slam dunk competition still like a big deal?
Kind of. It's like what? It's like. Can you see like better stuff on YouTube?
Okay.
I feel like all the dunks are huge now. Like there's no more new ones.
I got you. Vince Carter's the man. If you watched his 2000 NBA dunk contest, it is insane.
Who jumped over a car?
I don't know. They're just coming up with crazier stuff. Here, I have one NBA three-point shot contest to show you. It is actually called the worst one ever.
The NBA three-point contest is a standardized multiple-choice test. Just fill in every blank with a make or a miss. No points for creativity like its free-form, creative essay of a cousin, the slam dunk contest. But everyone who's stared down a Scantron knows that no amount of studying guarantees you perfection under the pressure of test day. And one three-point contest gave us the bleakest possible combination of unprepared competitors, fluky performances, and just straight up bad shooters. Especially when you put it in the context of a great All-Star weekend, you'll see that 2000 was the worst NBA three-point contest ever. February 12th, Y2K, Point Lamps, California. 36-year-old Jeff Hornacek is going to retire at season's end after one last playoff run with the Utah Jazz. But first, he's got to defend his crown as three-point champion. It's not last year's crown. 1999 had no All-Star weekend at all because of the lockout. But the year before that, Hornacek bested an impressive lineup of elite shooters and multiple former three-point champions. He outshot veteran contest titans like Reggie Miller, Glenn Rice, Dale Ellis, and Hubert Davis. This year, our friend Hubert's back. He'll finish this season number one in three-point percentage. Terry Porter's in a three-point contest for the third time in his career, and he'll finish top 10 in percentage as well. So we've got some contest veterans here, but only one of them's going to make it out of the first round. There are 5 racks with 5 balls worth 1 point each, except for the 2-point money balls at the end of each rack. So that's 30 available points, and Porter scores just a 15 in front of his son.
To put this into perspective, there are 30 available points. I showed you the video of Larry Bird getting 23. 23 being the second most all time. If you get like 25, that's like the best all time. So just for that argument, 25 to 23 is considered amazing. Anything in the low, like 15 and under, is considered mediocre.
Terry looks disgusted. And he thought he had more points. Everybody had 19. He didn't. Hubert Davis does even worse. After an okay start, he collapses on the last 2 racks to finish with just 14 points. Davis hit 12 of 25 shots, which is 48%, which is worse than he'll shoot in actual games this season with defenders trying to stop him. Hornacek might still be winded from winning the 2-ball contest with Natalie Williams earlier tonight, but he does well enough with a 17-point first round, even if his kids don't look too impressed. So those are the 3 returning contest vets. There are 5 other shooters, and history tells us the league will have searched far and wide to find the best possible people to fill out the lineup. Craig Hodges was such a deadly shooter, famous for hitting 19 straight shots in one contest, that he got invited to the 1993 event even though his career had ended. If this generic NBA jersey is available for purchase somewhere, I would like to own it. I just love the league. You can fall out of the league and still get an invite. And in fact, Remus Kurtinitis participated in the 1989 contest even though he never played in the NBA. So there's reason to believe the league cast a wide net for this lineup. They're not afraid to reach. Let's check out the 5 newcomers. Mike Bibby was an awful shooter last year as a rookie for the Vancouver Grizzlies, but he's hitting from outside this season and will go on to be a proficient shooter over his 14-year career. Tonight, a 15 in the first round, which isn't going to do it. Bob Sura comes with some red flags. He's shooting well this season, but hit just 20% of his threes last year and has an injured toe. He also embarrassed himself in the dunk contest as a rookie, so All-Star Weekend just might not be his scene. And yeah, Sura is cold, coming out of the gates with 10 straight misses. His former coach, Mike Fratello, is openly disavowing his development.
He never had a good shooting coach, did he, Mike? I was in charge of that at the time.
Sura scores just 9 points out of 30,
which is gross, but not the worst opening round ever. In Michael Jordan's first and only round of three-point contest participation, he put up a 5. A 5. And he turned out okay, so there's hope for you yet, Bob. Our other 3 newcomers are also on the younger side, and they're all on their way to becoming legendary Hall of Fame caliber players. Allen Iverson is here. He's nobody, but he's hit 35% from downtown so far this season, and I mean, it's Allen Iverson. The dude is one of the faces of the league and got almost 2 million fan votes to become a starter for tomorrow's All-Star game. If there's an opportunity to include Iverson, you include Iverson. Actually, hold that thought, because Iverson doesn't even come close to finishing his first round before time expires and posts a score of just 10.
I should have practiced a little bit more.
This might be a...
You guys know the speech from Allen Iverson about practice? Do you guys not know that speech?
I do.
You know what I'm talking about? The what? No, he gave this press conference where they questioned his desire to practice with the team and stuff like that. And he's just like, practice? You're talking about practice? Not the game. You're talking about practice. And he's just going on about why they're jumping on him for not like practicing. And then he just says in this clip, hey, maybe I should have practiced. Like, I don't know, Allen Iverson, maybe practicing will help your team get better? I don't know.
A good time to mention that Iverson considered pulling out of this contest, was pushed to do so by his coach, and, semi-related, recently broke the thumb on his shooting hand. It really makes you wonder who else could have taken that spot. Like, we've established that the NBA is willing to reach to get three-point talent, but, just look who's already in Oakland for the weekend. Just looking at some of these All-Stars, he would have been good, he would have been good. He's having a good shooting year. He's one of the best shooters ever, though maybe he said no after falling short in prior contests. Allen Houston was here tonight for the 2-ball competition, will also be in tomorrow's game, and ranks among the league's best three-pointerers, but he's not in the contest. Or they could have had someone who's in Oakland for last night's rookie-sophomore game. Wally Zerbiak, Lamar Odom, Katino Mobley, Michael Dickerson, Paul Pierce. All those youngsters can shoot a bit, and they're around. Gotta think they would have said yes to an invite. And then there's Vince Carter. Vince is hitting lots of threes in his second season, and he's the star of the weekend, having accumulated the most fan votes for the main event on Sunday. But Vince is understandably absent because he's saving himself. Later tonight, Carter is going to resurrect the slam dunk contest, surpassing brilliant efforts by Tracy McGrady and Steve Francis to win with some of the most iconic dunks ever. That new crop of young dunking stars makes you wish there was an equivalent cohort to carry the torch for the next generation of great shooters. Oh, wait, there totally is.
Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev. This weekend, live on DAZN.
Isn't Anthony
Download
Joshua
the DAZN
undefeated?
app now.
Among the greatest shooters ever, rack up tons of all-star berths, win championships, and surely enter the Basketball Hall of Fame. They will go on to mean just as much to the art of shooting as Vince and friends mean to attacking the rim. But not tonight. Tonight, Allen is still regarded as more of a slasher than a shooter.
You've never seen a dunker or a great athlete win this competition yet. Ray Allen, Bobby Sura, Allen Iverson, I put in that category.
Allen gets that label despite the fact that he, like Bob Sura, totally mailed in the 97 dunk contest. Here, Allen starts very cold, but makes good use of the money balls to finish with 16 in the first round. That should be enough to make the final round, where Ray will have to
get out there and eliminate all the toughness.
Yeah. And here's the 7-foot German kid. He shot terribly his rookie year, as players coming over from Europe often do. But now he's used to the longer three-point line, hitting a way better percentage, and boom, that's a group-leading 18 in the opening round. We've got ourselves a 3-man final with so much potential for a good story, which is what makes what we're about to see suck exponentially. Allen is a first-time All-Star this weekend, and combining that honor with a shootout victory would really make this a breakout weekend. Instead, he farts out a score of 10. That ties our pal Hubert's 1998 stinker for the worst final round score to date. Ray will win next year, and he'll go down as one of the greatest shooters in the history of Earth, but not tonight. Nowitzki could become the first foreign player and the first 7-footer to win this event, but he finishes the final round with 11. That last money ball saved him from the bottom. And regarding those squandered firsts, Peja Stojakovic of Serbia will get back-to-back wins in 02 and 03, and Dirk will claim a crown for tall guys in 06. All signs of the league's increasing global reach and its positional revolution. But not tonight. Tonight, the winner will be Jeff Hornacek. His kids look overjoyed. He wins with a final round score of 13, making him the only shooter ever to claim the trophy by getting less than half of the available final round points. Jeff's the champ for the second time in a row, if you can count two things separated by a labor-related work stoppage a row. Only Larry Bird in the 80s and Hodges in the 90s have three-peated into a potential return.
Are you sure you want this to be your last year? Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you can't blame Jeff. He won by failing in a failure of a contest. The veteran sharpshooters failed to perform. The league failed to surface the right young guys from a pool of possibilities. And the two future icons they did include failed to make a mark. The NBA always has enough shooting talent to make the three-point contest great. But sometimes that talent just goes unused or goes missing at the worst possible time. It's like studying hard, then freezing up on test day. And that's what made 2000 the worst. It was just a boring, pitiful waste.
Aha! What good timing. Pay attention to Google Classroom, especially if there's a snow day.